My name is Abioduni Martin. My company is D&E Wraps LLC. DBA is Do Everything Wonderfully. My website is dew.com.co. That's dew.com.co. We are a workforce development, solar and signage, commercial signage installation company. So I want to let you guys know that we are a multi-divisional platform. And we just got an approved apprenticeship program as well. So any individuals looking to get into these particular industries, the solar and signage industries, you can look our way.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hola! All right, hey, que paso? It's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I have brought a guest back that I had before. This is Graham fam. That's Graham Link State University, if you don't know. Also, Bay Area family. And so Abs is going to give us the game, as you just heard, on what's new, what's going on, because he's doing some things in this country and soon to be out of this country that if you are looking for things to get into, he will be hiring. He will also be inspiring and teaching. So, Abs, what's up, man? Welcome to Diversified Game. Welcome back.
Man, it's been some years, man. I think the last time we actually spoke on your podcast was during the pandemic, and I was moving and grooving in.
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been, but I want to let people know, like, Abs isn't just somebody who he calls and when he wants something, he'll check in. And so, we spoke or saw each other not too long ago. It hasn't even been a year in Atlanta when I was down there. But it's been a minute, and again, you have expanded. So I'm gonna just let you take it because I don't wanna say anything wrong, and I want you to let people know what is new with both of your companies.
Well, what's new? Like I told you in the beginning, we had just got approved by the Department of Labor for an apprenticeship program in solar installation and construction craft laborer. So, with that being said, now as an employer sponsor, I can hire individuals and train them while they're getting paid, learning how to do what I do in the field that I'm currently in, right? So that's a big thing. Companies that want to partner with me, who are EPCs, that's engineer, procurement, and construction. For those that don't know what that means, the bigger EPCs need companies like myself, which there are not many here in the state of Georgia and predominantly in the Southeast, where I kind of reside and do my thing. So having a employee who has an apprenticeship program, um, they get government credits for that. So your minimum is about 6% on the company that constructs and implement these systems on buildings on the commercial side. And let me just rephrase. I do strictly commercial. I don't do residential as of yet. It's not the lane that I'm currently in. So with that being said, they get about 6% from the government just on average, right, for projects that they implement. Now, with someone like me, that can go up from 30 to 50%, right? Just by having apprenticeships on those particular projects. So I encourage EPCs, bigger companies that are looking to partner. They would call me up, and this is how I get people to work. That's an added incentive for those companies to want to work with someone like me.
And there's programs out there too that if you take on certain people, whether it be high school students or people coming out of prisons, where the counties, the states, they will actually pay you as the business owner. They're getting the credits. Are you also, is it a double dip where all parties can benefit when you're taking on these people?
I'm glad that you asked that question. That's a very important question because yes, now for those individuals that decide to be implemented into my apprenticeship program, right? They can get a voucher depending on what county that you live in, right? They can go through the technical college and they have particular programs, right? That a company like myself would apply for, and then those individuals that are implemented into my program, all I have to say is that these individuals are implemented. There's a platform where we as apprenticeship programs were called the Rapids, and have everyone's information into that system, and the Department of Labor and other entities can go into that system and see who's who in those systems, and then that's when you would get those grants or those rebates for those individuals that's in your program. So yes,
Okay.
there's a bunch of
Yeah.
programs out there, yep, that I can apply for and that I am a part of.
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt. Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit MillionaireX.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
And I want to make that clear because, when people sometimes they'll say, well, why are you doing this? And of course, I know you want to always be able to give back, but there's also benefits and other companies can do it. Can you let people know? Because I keep talking about the two companies only because when people hear vinyl wraps, they're like, oh, okay, my friend does that in their garage, but your friend doesn't go the other side of the world on cruise ships and do it. And you've done that. And then when people say solar, I've connected you or try to connect you with some folks in solar, and it's like, man, you're a decade behind. Now you want to get into that, right? And it's like these buzzwords that sometimes go through our community where people say, oh man, our brother do that, but they don't do it like Abs has done it and gonna do it in Kenya, Mambo Uhaligani, Kenya. But give us the game on, what's going on with the rap company. Is it running by itself? Are you gonna, just focus for the next 5 years on solar, or how's that going?
So this is a loaded question, and because I would like to consider myself to be a unique company. So the focus of my company is emerging trades, right? Solar being that emerging trades, and you have the subsections under those particular trades, right? So signage is the same way. And this is where I started in signage, where you have the signage itself, and then you have vinyl wrapping, and you have design, you have other trades within that scope of trade, right? So I'm a part of that collective, right? And what I'm doing is basically creating this system to where all of these trades are under this one umbrella. Think of Amazon, think of Meta. That's essentially what I'm doing with the trades, right? And I'm the only one of its kind that does the multi-divisional type setup where, hey, if something slows down over here, I have another organization, another entity that I can funnel my guys and cross train them into different trades. So you'll never be out of work.
Gotcha. But with more business means more hiring. And before we send people again to you, I want to make sure I send them on your focus. So you emerge them, and do you build them out, scale them? Because I know Abs, and Abs, I don't want to call him a perfectionist, but he's the next thing to it. So I know he's not gonna let anybody do it. So that's where I want to go. So when you go to Kenya, will the vinyl wraps in Georgia still be available?
Oh yes, oh yes. I have people that I've managed and trained to run that department, to continue things going. And same with my solo projects here. I have people in place that can run that division here while I scale outside of the United States. Right.
How did you learn to trust people to deal with your babies? I was just listening to an interview with Daniel Starr, who's a big tech and entrepreneur, but he had to do some time in Europe, even though he's an American,
Yeah.
because of a business he sold. And a lot of people don't know how to let go and trust people. How did you learn to do that where you could say, man, I can sleep or go on vacation and I know they got my back?
I say like this, man. I don't believe in trust. I don't believe in loyalty, right? Because people is only as loyal until there's a better opportunity, right? And trust is fleeting, right? So for me is you create a system, right? You create a system, you implement that system, and you get you scout the individual that best aligns with the adaptation of that system. And you allow that person to work within that scope of what you know you taught that individual to do, or you provide for that individual to kind of work in their own mind frame, right? And so I treat it like I only work with people who think like bosses, right? Who think like an owner, right? I don't want yes men. I don't want somebody to do something because I tell you to do it. I want somebody to challenge me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm only the smartest person in the room, then we're not accomplishing much. Being that I have to tell you everything that needs to be done, and you just execute. So I work with people who have an owner mindset, who says, "Hey, this is my baby. Yeah, yeah, you may operate it, but this is my baby." I like those individuals. Those are people I have innate ability to find those individuals and say, "Hey, come along, let's ride, let's do this. You don't got to do it by yourself. Let's do it together." So that's my outlet.
And how has it been? Because when you're talking green energy, sometimes you might be talking green energy at the barbershop, and you might be the only one who actually has some real peer reviewed education on it, where people say, oh man, they just want to sell you panels. So they, people have their own theories. But how has it been to be able to recruit folks who look like you? And also, how has it been to not recruit people who look like you? Because sometimes you can't find the help that looks like you.
Huh, man, that's an excellent question. Basically, Cash, for me, I believe in partnerships, right? I believe in strategic partnerships, and knowing that I can compete on a level of a large scale organization, right? You have to be nimble, you have to be quick. And how do you do that? By making sure you partner with individuals that do what you don't, right? And you create multiple divisions. And that's essentially how I do it. And even with the individuals that I think I can't work with or partner with, I even try to find a lane for those individuals because they have something that may not fit within the realm of what I do, but they have a certain skill. Like I work with a gentleman that I partner with where he's a lobbyist, basically. He's a lobbyist. It took me 2 years to figure out what I can utilize him for. And so, okay, I can utilize him to use his network of knowing congressmen and people in the energy field and using those networks in those different chambers that I can't get to. So now we partner in that direction where I give him a percentage of whatever he brings in from those conversations.
Ready to dominate your industry with strategy that actually scales? At Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm, we're not just PR experts, we're licensed sports agents certified in AI and elite business consultants with over 2 decades of experience leading global projects across multiple countries. Visit cprfirm.com, that's colemanprfirm.com, and millionairex.ai. Then download the Millionaire X app, your AI powered guide to getting out of debt, investing smarter, and building generational wealth. Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm. It's a family business, it's different.
Okay. When Ab said, you got to be nimble, you got to be quick, I thought he was gonna go back to his rapping days for a second. I thought he had a whole, not a 16, but he could have gave, 6 bars. But yeah, that you guys go Google that. And he wasn't just on the mic; he was, also behind the scenes, making sure the
Yes, sir.
business flowed and grow.
You got a great memory, man.
Man, I thank God. I thank God for it. I thank God for it. And I want you to tell people, because I remember when we were in Grambling and you said something like, man, some of these folks came in knowing this knowledge when you were in, the computer building. You're like, they know some stuff that they came in knowing. And what's funny, I don't want to use the word immigrant because that's like the buzzword for some negative, but Abs was adopted and is an immigrant, but you would never know it. You would never know it until you see that Nigerian and Mali, I believe it was, hustle.
Benin,
Benin. Okay,
Yeah,
Benin. Benin. But when you're from Chad to Mali to Cameroon to Nigeria, man, granddaddies and grandmas were floating and going wherever opportunity was. So you guys don't be shocked. But give us the game on, just what you think about, should people be going to school right now? You went to go study something that people said you'd have a job for sure, but you saw while in college, wait, people know some stuff that they ain't even teaching right here. So give us the game, what you think college is, knowing that you got a son in college right now. Congrats.
Yes.
Congrats.
Yes.
But give us the game, what people should be focusing on.
So let me touch on. I never encouraged my son to go to college. I didn't encourage him not to either. I wanted him to find his own way. Had it been my choice, I would rather him come work for me in the trades, right? Because at the end of the day, that is the future. All these companies are now the Metas, the Home Depots, the Googles. They're pushing hundreds of millions of dollars into the trades because there's a lack of skilled individuals on all spectrums of the trades and construction, right? And I was doing this when this thing wasn't popular, right? When nobody wasn't echoing the names of trades in these chambers. Now all these companies want to pour all this money into it, thinking that's going to solve the problem, but it hasn't been solved for 20, 30, 40 some odd years, right? Because it wasn't important then. Now all of a sudden it's important. You know what I'm saying? So now it's this sense of urgency, right? People are getting laid off because of AI. We can go on, right? And so people have to reimagine what the workforce looks like for them. Not the cushy air-conditioned office buildings and the nice suits and ties, right? We gotta put your hard hats on and your yellow vest and your cap and your boots, steel-toe boots, and get dirty out here again. You know what I'm saying? Let's make trade sexy again. You know what I mean? That's where we at.
Yeah.
Where women looked at you like, oh man, I got a hard-working man. You know what I'm saying? And not just looking at that man in the suit and tie. You know what I mean? Where it held that same mystique. So that's
Definitely.
I believe young folks shouldn't go and go to school. I don't think they should go to university because at the end of the day, all those degrees that they're studying are obsolete. If you're not going for doctor, lawyer, those high prestige degrees, there's no need for you to go to college. You're playing. It's a social experiment.
And it's an expensive one at that. That you got to pay back. Don't think Sally Mae, Navient, whoever is giving the money out now is not giving it for free. And you've been able to, without your degree, and you've been able to see the world. Give the people some of the favorite places. I actually put this Quiones jersey on for you because I was going to tease you about.
Yeah.
Ab's favorite burrito spot is in San Francisco, not Mexico, not anywhere else. He can give the name if he wants to give it, but I'm like, of all places, San Francisco,
Hey, man. El Folitos, man. El Folitos, 16th Mission, San Francisco. Yeah, that's the spot. But yeah, the game on that, man, when it comes down to all the places I was afforded to go to, man, I call it a paycation because, and just let's just talk about signage. I was able to go all over the world, man. Germany, Greece, Haiti, uh, Italy. I've been all over, man. Singapore, places I thought I would never visit, to do what I have a passion and love to do, and again within the trades, you know what I'm saying, and having that ability to do what you do and your skills be transferable all over the globe. That's why I say being able to work in the trades and do something with your hand, you could take all over the world, whether you speak that language or not. So I think in those terms, recession proof, these trades are recession proof, right? If you were an HVAC, if you were an electrician, if you were anything, these trades are transferable anywhere you want to live on the globe. I'm always praise the trades, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't take a marketing degree all over the globe unless you can speak that language. And then you got to worry about the cultural differences and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? It's not really transferable, unless you speak that language. You know what I mean? Unless you know the culture. So you got to think in terms of that nature when the recession hit. Even when the recession was hitting, I was still working. I was essential as a signage the guy. I was essential because who was putting down those stay 6 feet apart? You know what I'm saying? All those signs that was going, all those masks and everything, we was making those and I was selling them and I was implementing and installing these different signs to notify the public of where you can stand and this and that. Recession proof. You know what I mean? So you got to think in those terms when you're thinking about getting into a field that's going to last the test of time. And that's how I think.
And with that tested time, many people are saying my job is AI proof, but we also have to know Elon wants to deploy so many hundreds of thousands of robots that at the end of the day, people are going to train. What is your prediction on how long it would take to train a robot to do the dangerous sometimes job of signage, even that you're doing? Because you sitting on there doing big things on the biggest of things, vessels and signs. But how long do you think it would take? How many years, decades, or do you don't think it could be done?
Um, my perspective on the technology, as advanced as it is and how fast it's growing right now, I'm a techie type person too, so I understand where things are going. One thing AI don't have is that they're not creative, right? And they cannot calculate the variables in which these particular trades take to do the job that it needs to be done, right? The adaptability to be able to pivot when something is not exactly precise, right? Which that's what AI is based on, right? It's an accumulative of things that's already been done. But how do you calculate something that hasn't been done? How do you compute? And right now, AI, as you know, exciting as it is, isn't able to do that. It doesn't have a soul, right? And that's the variable that it cannot calculate. So that's my prediction.
Okay, so you think we're more than a decade out before somebody says, I'm going to show it how to do this. We're more than a decade for it to even get it right. I just want people to think 10 years, 20 years ahead of time so they're not doing things like leisure studies or mass comm or
Yeah.
political science.
I don't foresee AI taking over the trades like electrician, HVAC, signage. Those jobs, I don't foresee AI doing, right? Taking over in mass. It's not going to happen. There's going to be assistance, right? There's machinery that's used in assistance. But as far as taking the jobs over like they're doing with programming and computer science and all these other particular jobs where you don't need them in the office no more. You got AI agents that's answering phones and selling product and this and that. No, that's not happening in the field.
Well, not even take over. And people always say, in healthcare, and I said, we have some AI contracts over on this side, over here, and we're not ever worried about it taking over because we have such a shortage of healthcare workers, especially if some of these, MAGA folks were able to get the immigrants that they want to get out. Oh, I'm leaving right with them because we couldn't have our hospitals. Our hospitals would be so bare. We got to have immigrants in there, whether you're from an African country or the Philippines. But because most Americans don't want to do sciences, don't want to do maths, it seems. Okay. Let me not say most, many. So I'm more accurate. But if AI can do it, people say, well, won't the price go down if it can be assisted? I don't know. It depends. But with that assistance for your stuff, I could see it saving injury and lives. Do you worry about the price coming down the more AI that's used?
Um, it depends on the application for which it's used, right? Um, robotics and AI working in unison because we got to separate the two, right? So robotics and AI working in unison, like in the fields, they have uh mechanical robots that help lift and install the panels when you on a utility scale, right? On a utility scale spectrum, where all the worker has to do is basically do the wire management because the robot doesn't do the wire management and tying up the the combining the different panels along that array, right? So, but it has to have a grid where it can follow, right? So you have all these different variables that prevents this particular AI and robotics to do the functions that is needed that one or two people can do by themselves, right? So that's an assist. So in regards of it being cheaper, what I do think is I don't think it's going to lessen the price because the price comes from how cheap it is to purchase the materials to do the work. I just think it's going to be more so is we want the work done more efficiently and by the projected time it needs to be done. And if you can meet those goals, that's where it comes down to who can do it the fastest. And we don't care about the cost because it's like, okay, I got to meet this time frame to get it done. It's just to allow us to do things much faster, right? You're going to pay me to do something that I can do that it took me 10 years to do, I can do in less than time, right? I can do less time because of the speed at which I'm able to do it at.
And with that speed, you're gonna, God willing, speed over to Kenya, not the Nairobis or Mombasas that most people go, but you're going where, you're gonna have such an impact because it's not Nairobi or Mombasa yet. It's still cities out there, but it's not as, it's not New York City. We'll say that. It's not Nairobi. Tell us about this opportunity and why did they pick somebody all the way from Georgia, by the way of California, by the way of Benin and Nigeria? What are you going to do there?
So I can't speak much about the project just yet because it's one of those projects that's still is ongoing, right? And
Oh, is G17 classified or whatever Mike Epps was talking about?
right. So what I can say to that is I have an innate ability to connect, right? And I think that it's a lost skill, right? Of being able to connect with people in a way and being able to show what you're capable of, right? And I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, Mexicans, I've worked with them all. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I create authentic relationships with individuals and I offer something, right? I don't come into a relationship say, hey, what can you do for me? I predominantly come in, hey, what can I do for you? What aren't you able to do? Right. And I feel that void. And so, you know, individuals look at that, from what I gather, and take a trust in, my capabilities. And sometimes the capabilities be out the scope of what I'm able to do, but I'm able to, overcome and make sure it's done to scale, you know. And so it's just that factor of me being able to perform at high levels all the time and being good under pressure. I perform the best under pressure. The bigger the project, the better I perform.
Hello, everyone. Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature, and traditions from Yaoundé Market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Enjoy the Cameroonian food, music, and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.
Okay. And so I'll leave that because I'm gonna have Abs back on when he comes back, or if there's another opportunity, and then he can talk more about that. But I want you to talk about, we were talking about AI, and I've been invited on a couple shows. Sometimes I say no, but I said yes to somebody, and they want me to debate this Hollywood actress, Mario Van Peebles, one of the mother of his children, about AI. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but a lot of people, and I've heard family members say, "Oh, it's so bad for the environment, but it's so this and it's so that." I'm like, you guys aren't certified in any AI. You don't use it. You got talking points. You're into solar. You're seeing what people and engineers and electricians are saying. What is your thought on that? And can we solar power these data centers in the future, even if it's just for our homes? Or because our homes might be data centers, they say, they might pay it's their data centers there. So what is your thought as a solar guy? Is there enough sun power without us, making this whole thing turn and and turn over for us to do that? Give us the game.
I'll say this: it's people think it's just about energy consumption, right? With these data centers, which fuels the AI input of what we use now with the Anthropics, Claude, and Chat GPTs, and right, because they rely on an immense amount of of power and energy consumption, right? So we think solar is the factor in changing all that or solving that problem. And it's not the only source, right? Because one thing is a major factor. These systems, these data systems, right? They consume not only a lot of energy, but they consume the one essential thing that makes everything on this planet live, and that's water, right? And you have to keep these systems cool at all times. You know what I mean? Just like a nuclear plant or whatever the case may be, which I'm not a nuclear physicist or anything like that, but I know cooling is a big factor. Data centers is no exception to that rule, right? Being able to keep these systems not running hot. And water has been the number one topic of discussion because they're using this water to cool these systems 24/7. Who's paying for that? You can't recreate water, and you're using this water. Where's this water coming from? And then where does that leave us, the consumer of these AI systems and the consumers of water and so on and so forth? And where's that bad water going after it's used? You know what I'm saying? Is there cleaner recycling? So these are the factors that you have to consider when you're talking about data centers, and it's not just solar energy. Solar energy has its place. It can do a lot of great things just using the environment, which is our sun, right? So yes, it can do that, but that's not the only factor when it comes specifically to these data centers.
Okay, so yes, we can. And sometimes I ask questions I already know the answer to, so I be leading like a mug, right? And there are, and you guys can watch the Moonshot podcast because I know other ice is colder than mine. What do I know? But they are recycling water in already. Now, people say, well, I heard you could make water. Yeah, you can, but there's some limitations to that too. And is it enough that you could use for these data centers? The what we do know is if we don't build this technology, all the rest of the world will, and we'll be behind. So we got to be number one, and hopefully, God willing, we figure all that out. Plus, y'all don't drink enough water anyway. I'm clowning right now. Y'all care about water. When was the last time you had a good jug of just straight water without some lemon and cranberry and 30 grams of sugar in it? And you act like you were really caring about the environment, but that's okay. But with the solar, have you seen, because I've only heard, but have you seen or any data centers, big or small, already powering some of the data centers or anything? It didn't have to be a data center. It could be um how people are doing crypto and they mine crypto. Some people have like they mine it off solar and they don't use any energy. They just have, some really great panels and things are moving. But have you seen any of that or worked on any of those projects? I know you don't do residential.
Yeah, so I haven't personally worked on any data centers or even, looked up to do my own research, and I'm pretty abreast with what's going on in the industry. Try to be anyway, but I haven't seen it uh, to scale in any way, form, or fashion as far as using the solar panels itself to help to power these data centers. Um, no, I haven't.
Okay, not yet. Please let.
And there's a lot here in a lot of data centers here in Georgia that they're currently building as we speak. I think Georgia have one of the most data centers so far, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'd also like, not that I need you to be a whistleblower, but are they putting these in black neighborhoods particularly? Because we've heard, they always go to the poor. You're gonna put a prison somewhere, put it where the poor is. You're gonna
Yeah,
put,
yeah,
nuclear, you're gonna put somewhere, put it where the poor is. And
yeah,
sometimes people think poor and black go hand in hand and say, why is
yeah.
this sitting on top of me? So I'd love to see that. But for your business is good. You're not worried about being out of business anytime soon. That's a blessing. What about the give back? Besides being able to hire people with the government and being the only one, I believe, in Georgia, or at least in your part of Georgia, correct? You're the only
Well,
one.
I'm one of three that have a particular certificate within the solar installation spectrum, right? But I'm the only one who is a employer sponsor. So meaning
Mm.
I can sponsor those apprentices and employ them at the same time. Most apprenticeship companies, they can do one or the other, right? They can either just train, or they those trainees go on to companies to work, right? So those are like specifically workforce development entities, whereas they just train individuals and they look for people like me who can hire those individuals. I do both simultaneously.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And so what's the community give back now? And we'll compare it. Those you guys can go look at his old interview and even ask AI. What's the community give back now? Because the more you do, the more you grow, the more you want to give.
Well, for me, man, it's always been a passion. I used to work for Job Corps Treasure Island, and I was a public relations manager at the time there. And just seeing the youth, man, they hungry to do stuff, man. They hungry they just want to be respected. They just want to have the income to make a real living. You know what I'm saying? Not your I'm not not your Walmarts doing, stacking food for, saying $16, $17 an hour, you know what I'm saying? Where the upper mobility is next to none, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you look like you and I, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep preaching that because when you look in these trade industries, we are not represented, as we should in these industries. And at the end of the day, Black America, or whatever America you want to call it, helped build this country. And that was through the trades, and people only had one job and they was able to raise a family and do all these things. You know what I'm saying? So my give back is to recreate that. I want to be the beacon to be able to recreate that for those individuals. You know what I'm saying? Black, brown, or other, it don't matter. But at the end of the day, the representation has to come from us. And I want to bridge that gap and include, hey, we have some excellent individuals, you know what I'm saying, that are Black, that are brown, that want to do this work, you know what I'm saying? But in particular, Black, that want to do this work and be excellent at it. You know what I'm saying? The mission is in the name. Do everything wonderful. I practice excellence. You know what I mean? When you see that name, individuals want to work for this company and they want to do good. So that's really my give back, is making sure I go to every community in Atlanta, every community in the United States to bridge that gap. You know what I'm saying? As I grow, I'm hiring more of us to be able to do this and do excellent at it.
Be careful how you answer this next question, because I could remember when we were in Grambling, even before Grambling, we would have jumped so fast at $18 an hour for a job. And now you'll have people say, like you had said, that's not even going to be enough, especially if somebody has a family. What is do you think a good, as a entrepreneur and somebody who knows, when you're trying to come up, you don't need to be trying to go get another job or DoorDash on the side. As a lawyer, we see people doing that, and sometimes they do it for different reasons, to get to know the community. But what is a good wage that an employer should pay somebody and that somebody could live off of without having to go do a side hustle?
Man, that's an excellent question. And it depends on what you're doing. If you are, and I'm gonna go to the trade. If you're a solar installer and you worth your weight in gold, if you worth your weight in gold, meaning you have the skill sets to do the work at a proficient level, right? You worth 30 to 40 an hour. 30 to 40 an hour for sure.
Okay, I can get that day one. And what do I have to, what skills, what certifications does that person have to have? Because everybody is worth that and more in their mind, but they don't necessarily have the skills to pay the bills. Just because you can hit the tape measure, it doesn't mean Abs is going to be like, I'm going to give you that money. So what do they need to come with you with?
Well, just have your ducks in a row. What it comes down to, be able to show that you can do the work. If you talk about certificates in the solar, have your knapsack photovoltaic certificate. That's the gold standard. That's the gold standard. If you have that, not many people have that. It's a hard test to take. Yeah, have that, and listen, no questions. If you got the skill sets and you have that particular certificate, have your OSHA 30. That's another. Have your certificate to drive the forklifts and your cranes and things of that nature. Oh yeah, you get your weight and go right there.
And so, if they don't have that certificate, but I remember working in the oil field and you had to really earn your OSHA, anything. Now you can do that stuff all online. So I can come to you with an OSHA 30 with no experience, whether I'm coming out of high school or college. What am I worth then to somebody like you?
Listen, your worth is not determined by salary. If we have to come down to that, what it comes down to is can you do the work and what you're able to negotiate, and also if that person that's hiring you has that availability and have those resources to provide. That's what it comes down to, because there's other benefits, and it's not just the wage, right? What if I provide housing for you? What if I provide transportation for you? What if I provide other things that your prevailing wage don't cover? You know what I'm saying? So, and most other jobs may not cover it. You know what I'm saying? There's other facets that are equal to the wage that another company could not provide. So you got to ask different questions. It's not just about how much money I can get just from my skill sets. It's what else can the company provide.
Y'all don't jump and just hit abs up. Talking about, wait, did you say transportation? That's a company car if you get it. You don't get to drive it to the club on Saturday and then, and do whatever you think you want to do. But it's such a beautiful thing when you do get the company vehicle, the truck, and they do provide housing and they got a stipend every day so you can eat for $75 or more a day on top of your salary. It's like, you know what? This is dope. This is dope, and it can happen. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be anything. You just got to be present and want to work hard, which I have heard from others that they say there's a generation that doesn't really even want to work. I don't believe that. I just think there's just some lazy people out there and we got to bypass them and let them starve or do what they do. What is your take on what you're seeing with the, 20 and up in their work ethic?
Man, it's funny that you say that, man, because that's all I employ. The youth has been all I employed, and they are great workers. The only thing that's been difficult when I first started out doing this, and it still has some difficulties in that, because I'm not only an employer, sometimes I'm out in the field with my guys. I'm learning people. I'm learning what the capabilities are of these young folks, and I'm mentoring them, and I'm doing all these things so they know that, hey, I'm not telling you to do something that I haven't done. Those same sort of certifications that I'm telling you to get, I have them. You know what I'm saying? I have them too. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the field. I'm doing the great work. I'm doing the grind and trying to run a business. You know what I'm saying? So you can't tell me I haven't done this before. You can't tell me what you cannot do, because I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I have pictures, videos. I can quantify this. You know what I'm saying? So the main thing is what I've seen is that they want to be respected. They are hard workers, but it's been the inconsistencies in the industry, where especially here in the Southeast, and in particular Georgia, where the jobs are there, right? But it takes so long for these bigger companies to close these particular projects because of all the red tape you have to go through. Like, you could be working on from start to finish before a project even gets started to be installed. That took a year. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have a lot of these projects in the pipeline before one even drops, for they even call someone like me to do the installation. You know what I'm saying? Because of so much things that go into it. So the inconsistencies of the projects that are coming in makes it a more difficult. Like I tell my guys, have a second job, have a night gig, so when things get a little slow, because that's the construction in general. When things get a little slow, you have something to kind of back you up until we start back up again. You know what I'm saying? Projects has been coming in a lot faster, you know what I'm saying, because I've been growing and gaining other partnerships and so on and so forth. But in the beginning phases, man, it was tough. And then you have a time when the industry slows down a little bit, when you don't have that work. You know what I'm saying? You may be off maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, but always have something in the background to where, hey, when things slow up, you got something to kind of stretch you out. But the young folks, man, they want to work, man. They're able to work. They don't mind sitting out here in this heat and everything, man, but they want to be respected. They want to show that, hey, I have upward mobility when I'm showing that I'm able to do this. You know what I mean? And I treat it like the military, man. My thing is, hey, at G5 you get this pay, at G7 you get this, you know what I'm saying? I treat it, and if you meet these qualifications, you there. It's no favoritism. I don't care if you're my brother, my cousin. Listen, you got to meet these same qualifications. If you earned it, it's yours. Go take it.
What are some great study guides, because YouTube is a great one, especially for people who are people say, oh, people don't want to read. I say some people are dyslexic. Some people have all type of issues, but they can hear real well and they can take that information. What are some even YouTubes if folks want to learn this? And I'm actually trying to put Abs on the spot to create his own, so it could be a course that he can push through the government and everywhere else and privately.
I'm glad that you're saying that, because I'm already on it. I'm already on it.
Okay.
So I'm saying every project that I've ever done, I recorded every step. every step process on how to, and this is from my guys that have been doing the jobs and coming from the U, because who better to explain something to you than somebody that is about your age group, your peers. You know what I'm saying? So when you seeing these videos, it's not me explaining it, it's the young folks that's been doing the work. You know what I'm saying? I take those clips, right? And I've been putting together this whole program, this whole system to be able to implement just exactly what you're saying. So you're not just learning from a book. You're seeing the
Okay.
actual step-by-step process.
When can they expect to see something?
That's work in progress, man. That's work in progress. So I don't have an official date because this is something I've been working on for quite some time. And
I
like you
know you
said,
have.
I'm a
I know you have.
perfectionist. I'm a
Yeah.
perfectionist, and I want to get it right. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to realize, even me, like I'm a slow learner, right? I'm a slow learner. You know what I'm saying? Not because I'm stupid. You know what I'm saying? I come from special ed, not because I couldn't learn. It's because English wasn't my first language. You know what I'm saying? So what they do with all foreigners like me that's black, they put them in special education. You know what I'm saying? So I come from that background. You know what I'm saying? So I understand when you have challenges of learning something, it takes you a little longer. You know what I mean? Not everybody is auditory or sort of visual learners. You know what I'm saying? Some people are hands-on. They gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta be able to teach according to that person's abilities.
Abs, take that footage, send me a big Dropbox or whatever heavy file. Let my guys in Kenya and beyond get busy, because you can't try to quarterback everything. And that's the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs. You can't
You know,
quarterback
I'm
it.
trying to delegate, man. I'm trying to. These are the whole things. I'm still creating this team, man, to do just that, man. So I'm not doing everything. You know what I mean? So this is work in progress, man. This is something that I've been doing, and I've been, trying to get the right people to get things done for me. And like you said, it comes back to, like I don't use trust and loyalty. It just comes back to creating the systems and to having people input their way into that system.
Yeah, Google attachment theory, y'all, and go deep on it. I actually just put something out there on the I think Killing Cash YouTube about that, because so many entrepreneurs suffer from this and don't know why they can't let go. And it all stems back from childhood. 99% of the time is what it looks like. But yeah, that footage and that, telling you, the government, when they buy everything, but even the private sector, they buy everything. But this is something that people could even walk to you in prison and say, man, when I get out, I'm hollering at him. I've already watched all his videos. I've watched all his videos, and I got an unstable internet issue. If you guys see us cut off, don't worry, we back. But yeah, I see it. And because when you used to send me the videos of what you're doing, I'm like, oh, that's YouTube all day. That's YouTube all day. YouTube needs to see that. And, for what I do, there's channels I might be able to say, man, put this out there, give a bump. Because, wisdom is at an all-time low. The fact that you and I, we dang near the elders almost, and we ain't even that old, but that's where it's at, because we got 50, 60-year-olds who haven't become whole men, and they still playing games like they 20. That's why we see rappers trying to compete with these young boys. Like, you ain't got to compete with no 20-year-old. Why? You can't compete with nothing.
Man, I love being an elder, man. I love being an elder. I love being able to give back, man. And giving back the knowledge is the key, man. And being able to give back the knowledge and watching these young folks being able to apply, that's my gift. That's my gift. That's my mission from the Most High, that He bestowed upon me, man. And I just want any opportunity to be able to do that, and anybody who wants to partnership or anything of that nature, reach out to me on the website, dw.com.co. There's a section there where you can partnership or you can give back, so on and so forth. All angles I'm coming from. I need your support, your help. You know what I mean? I can't do this by myself. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, for sure. And tell the people, I want them to know where to find you. But first, I want to know your chain. Sibo didn't give that to you, did he?
Nah.
Okay.
So you want to know about the chain?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a miniature urn. This is my late mother. She passed away, my adopted mother, some years ago, and it has the Lord's Prayer on it. Everybody says it looks like a bullet, but it's a miniature urn with her ashes in it.
Okay, I was
Awesome.
just asking because
I wear it everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, I knew you knew Bo, and Bo gave me this pennant. But Sibo makes everything. Like Sibo is so like in Grambling, he hooked my whole apartment up when he was leaving for little or nothing.
I'm already knowing.
And but yeah, he got a whole like dang near pawn shop type thing in the Bay, but that's a whole nother story, y'all. He ain't doing interviews right now, but but yeah, I just wanted to know, we got the people the game, we got to follow back. Where can the people hit you up if they want a job, or even if they say, man, I need a mentor? I always say paid mentorship, y'all. Don't holler at nobody asking for all their time and you ain't got a dime. But give us the game where they can find you.
Man, again, dew.com.co. You can learn everything you need to learn. You can Google my name, Abioduni Martin. That's the last name. Google that name. You'll find articles, anything that you want to know about me. Again, info@dew.com.co. You can reach me through that email. So these are all the ways you can get a hold of me.
You guys have got a hold of the game. So I thank y'all for listening to the end. And so you can comment, you can like, but what I really want you guys to do, I want y'all to share this game with somebody. It can change their life. For real. Game you can use. Be blessed, y'all.
Are you tired of the violence? Tired of the injustice? Police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start? Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration and joy by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.